Another terrific Tuesday to keep you updated in the world of sport. A lot of things happening, of course. The African Games, we've seen the fallouts, the positives and the negatives, but we'll bring you up to speed with that on the show today. Not forgetting that the UEFA Champions League returns to action once again. Second leg action for the round of 16 encounter for this season. What will it be for Arsenal? What will it be for Napoli? Those two teams are what we've got our eyes on the show today. I am Onyinyechi Ogu-Obaroh, and this is In the Game. Of course, you can get updated in the world of sport. Get to follow like our social media platforms at News Central TV. Do not forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Hashtag In the Game. Join the conversation. We want to feel your feedback. As we do it on the show, let's run through our top 5 stories making the rounds in the world of sport. I will be starting from the Nigerian National League, where the chairman of the board of the NNL, George Aluo, has revealed that the league will be shown live on local TV stations starting from next season. The former member of the Nigerian Football Federation World Cup and Media Committee stated this on a popular administrators field sport platform, which is called the Sporting World. According to him, the conventional TV coverage and the broadcasts of the NNL are aimed at attracting more sponsors to the league, so that the league will be so good in the eye of football fans watching across the world. Our next story right now will say Sadio Mane's temper flared during that Al Nassr's AFC Champions League quarterfinal second leg encounter against Al Ain. The Senegalese international mirrored the likes of Vinicius Junior's actions as he seemed to grab his opponent by the neck in a fiercely contested match at Al Wahal that park on Monday, March 11. Mane remained on the pitch for the entire duration of the game, including the 30-minute extra time. But a needless act of aggression could have resulted to his dismissal, a straight red card for him. With 19 minutes remaining and Al Nassr trailing in the aggregate score, Mane, frustrated by a previous incident, briefly grabbed his opponent's neck, as cited in that footage available online. While such behavior usually would warrant a red card, referee Al-Kaf Ahmed showed leniency by, of course, brandishing a yellow card instead of sparing Mane from expulsion. Tempers flaring over there, but going with the Vinicius Junior move in that encounter for the Saudi Arabian Pro League. All right, let's go to our next story, where next summer, for all Chelsea fans, you see that footage there, you see that picture there, that is how you might be in the next summer. Chelsea is on the brink of another transfer upheaval. According to Football London, the club's leadership is prepared to acknowledge that the majority of their previous acquisitions have proven to be unsuccessful. Now, due to the high transfer fees and substantial player wages, Chelsea risks violating financial fair play rules and facing sanctions. To circumvent this issue, Chelsea's decision makers have prepared to release as many as 15 players in the summer. The exact names are not disclosed, but some of them are currently playing for other clubs on loan. Players are already on loan will be released by the club. At the same time, it is reported that the club currently has no plans to dismiss Mauricio Pochettino. Oh, Chelsea, your woes continue over there with the release of 15 players. All right, we'll await the names of those players to be released by the London club. Away from here to boxing, where boxing legend late Muhammad Ali, famously known as the greatest, will be inducted into the WWE Hall of Fame class of 2024 ahead of this year's WrestleMania festival in Philadelphia. Of course, and that will be on April 5, according to the foreign news outlet Variety on Monday. Ali, a 3-time world heavyweight boxing champion and Olympic gold medalist, captivated audiences worldwide. His influence transcended sport, as his work as an activist, an artist, a personality established him as a renowned figure in the world of sport. On June 26, 1976, he participated in the War of Worlds, an exhibition match against Antonio Inoki at the Nippon Budokan Arena in Tokyo, Japan. I cannot forget that footage there. Now, despite retiring from boxing with an impressive record of 56-5, including 37 knockouts, Ali continued his association with combat sport. He notably served as the special guest referee for an inaugural WrestleMania in 1984, officiating the main event between Hulk Hogan and Mr. T, Rowdy Roddy Piper, not forgetting, and Mr. Wonderful, Paul Orndorff. Now he will be inducted into the Hall of Fame for WrestleMania for 2024. April is always that month for WrestleMania, and this April 5, we get to see the greatest of all time back again inducted into the Hall of Fame. Still, of course, in the world of sport, he's dead now, but he still lives on in the world of sport for his personality, his great personality. Straight to our next story, stunner there in the Indian Wells, where world number 1 Novak Djokovic was beaten by 20-year-old lucky loser Luca Nodi in the round 3 of the Indian Wells. Italian Nodi, ranked 123 in the world, has originally been knocked out in the qualifying, but he reached the main draw after another player withdrew from the tournament. Nodi hit 34 winners in a 6-4, 3-6, 6-3 win over 24 Grand Slam champion, converting the match point with an ace. Novak Djokovic, who was beaten by eventual winner Yannick Sinner in the semi-finals of the Australian Open, is in yet another defeat, this time around in the hands of a lucky loser.
Well, is there an enormous upset brewing out on Stadium 1? Luca Nodi, the lucky loser from Italy, takes the opening set against the 5-time champion here, Novak Djokovic, by 6 games to 4.
Game and second set.
Well, we were expecting some kind of response from Novak Djokovic after the first set. We got it to a certain extent. You still wouldn't say he's anywhere near his best, but certainly good enough to take the second 6-3. Oh, it's just wide.
No one would have ever thought that Novak Djokovic will lose that game. Oh, what's happening to the greatest of all time? 24 Grand Slam champion Novak Djokovic has packed his bag home away from the Indian Wells, where he lost in the hands of a lucky loser, Luca Nodi. That name will resonate in the heart of Novak Djokovic for life. One who is a lucky loser, losing to a 24 Grand Slam champion. Big win for Nodi there, and a loss for Novak Djokovic. There you have it, our top 5 stories at this time. We'll return with more updates in the world of sport. Do not go anywhere. African Games take center stage. Welcome back. You're still watching In the Game. We just wrapped up our top 5 stories. I am Onyinyechi Ogu-Obaroh. If you missed that, get to follow like our social media platforms like News Central TV. Hashtag In the Game. Join the conversation. We are streaming right now live on Facebook, so go catch that update there and don't miss out on anything in the world of sport. All right, time to take you to Ghana, Accra, Ghana, where the African Games is ongoing. Medals are pouring in, gold medals especially for the likes of Egypt. But let's stay on the football event, especially the men's event. We did see games from Senegal, Uganda, Nigeria, and South Sudan. So those games, interesting ones for the likes of Uganda. Uganda have picked 2 wins right now at the African Games. They defeated Nigeria 2-1 in their opener. And the second game against Senegal, they are up with a lone goal. That could give them an advantage into that group, where they share same group with Nigeria and South Sudan. For Nigeria and South Sudan was a big tax there. The Nigerian team, despite a late 1-0 win against South Sudan in that ongoing African Games, the Flying Eagles of Nigeria failed to convince many with their abilities in their campaign. The match, which took place on Monday night at the Accra Sports Stadium, saw Charles Agada squander 2 goal-scoring opportunities late in the game. Although Sadiq Isiaka's penalty secured that victory for Nigeria, there are concerns about the midfield and the attack. their inability to connect with passes. The result against South Sudan means that the Flying Eagles move to second position in the Group B standings. Ladamboso's men are behind the Hippos of Uganda, who have 6 points from 2 games after beating Senegal in their second group game and beating Nigeria in their opener. So the Flying Eagles will have to go dot their I's, cross the T's. Let's go on a short break, and when we come back, we'll have a guest join us. What does Ladamboso's side have to do to get on their scoring boots and connect their passes? That question we'll answer after the short break. Welcome back. Still talking the African Games on our show In the Game. I did tell you that the Flying Eagles, of course, missed a lot of chances having that win against South Sudan, with Uganda still topping the table at 6 points after winning 2 games. Now we've got our guest, a sport editor, joining us all the way from Lagos, Nigeria. We have Enitan Obadina. Thank you so much, Enitan, for joining me on the show today.
It's a pleasure to be In the Game today.
Great to have you. It seems like the Flying Eagles, they left their scoring boots at home in Nigeria here, making their way to Ghana. What really happened to this team? Is it a lightning? Because I'd seen that the floodlights were not functional in that encounter. But why did it miss a lot of chances against the South Sudanese team?
A totally disjointed performance by the Flying Eagles. But behind that performance are a lot of stories that you have to consider when it comes to how Nigeria prepare for major tournaments. This African Games is meant to serve as a preparatory tournament for the major ones for our under 20. But what the coach did, not entirely surprising, basically, was for us to invite some of his old legs that played the previous under 20 that got to the under 20 World Cup quarterfinals that was played last year, and of course, he invited a few others to join him in that quest. But it did not really work out because what it shows in the 2 games they played so far is the team is disjointed. They don't really understand themselves, which resulted into them missing a lot of chances. The team were highly physical and less technical, and that affected their ability to convert some of the chances that came their way. It was really a disappointing performance for Enitan, despite the fact that they won, courtesy of that penalty. At the end of the day, when you sum up everything, you are not sure they have what it takes to win the last group game and move on with this kind of lethargic performance unless something gives.
Okay, do we fault the team selection for this competition, or we blame it on the coach's wrong tactics?
It's a mix of both. The coach has the freedom to select some of the players. The initial list released showed a bit of potential. Some of the stars, some of the young stars, youth stars in the country. Beyond limits, Parebo and a few others were invited into that set, but some of them could not show up because they had agreements moving to Europe after some of the players from Beyond Limits went to. But he had the opportunity to pick some of the older under 17 players, some of the old under 17 players who could not make it to the World Cup. Talking about the captain of the under 17 team, Emmanuel Michael. You also have Lawali, the Assistant Vice Captain, 2 fullbacks that drove the last under 17 team, but he ended up picking the former captain of the under 20 team, Bamei. He has practically played every tournament and every game under Boso. Then, of course, the goalkeeper Nwosu sort of recycled some of his old under 20 stars thinking, and the thinking behind was basically for us that as much as I would have questioned it, is the fact that he had 2 weeks to prepare, which is barely enough for him. And of course, when you are not picking players who are active, when you are picking academy players, you know that they are not that active in the season, and that questions the ability of those players to be in shape. So 2 weeks might not be enough. That's why I said it's a mix of both. You can blame the coach because why pick players who are not totally informed when you have a shorter time frame to prepare for that tournament, for the African Games. And of course, at the end of the day, you are supposed to pick players that you think can implement your strategies when you had all the time, but you did not follow a certain path to continuity, picking some of the stars that you can think about from the under 17. Although he picked one of them, that's talking about Agada. Anything outside of that, he was just cherry picking all over the place. So the blame goes to the coach for not having proper selection, and of course, we can also not blame him because he had just 2 weeks to prepare.
All right, Enitan, I know that they played that game against Uganda, their first game in the opener, but I think Flying Eagles midfielder has been able to give us a glimpse of what the problem really could be. He highlighted a lack of effective communication, particularly between the midfield and the attack, as a major hurdle for that team, especially in their first game against Uganda. What do you think the boys have to do differently this time around ahead that game, the last game against Senegal?
After 2 games, they should have built enough understanding. And luckily for him, he has built his midfield around two major players who plays for him, Ogu-Obaroh and of course Daniel Daga, who had previously played under 20 under him. So it's a player who understands his ability, and of course the luck is that the both players can blend because they understand them at club level. Now, the next level of understanding when you are building a technical team is also how to connect the understanding between the two midfielders to the attack, enable for them to get clean, clear chances to be able to convert. And of course, you expect them to have good strikers who can convert and not waste chances like they did last night. So by now, they played 2 games together. They've seen the weaknesses, they've seen the flaw. What I would expect in training right now is basically the coaching crew and of course getting the players together to find some level of understanding, see clear cut chances they are missing, the level of understanding, and of course in building confidence within some of these players, because you have to lack confidence to miss this kind of guilt-edged chances. No killer instinct from some of his wingers or some of his attackers that started the game, and that tells you about a whole lot of not just training work, they need work they
Okay.
need to do on the training ground. Also psychologically, they need to work on these players to let them know what is at stake.
Okay.
And like it goes back to what I said. When you pick players mainly from academy, not fully exposed at this level, such misses will happen because they've not played the competitive football long enough to be able to have that mindset to be able to convert such chances. So it's more of work on the training ground and work off the training ground, working on them psychologically to let them believe in themselves and be sharp enough in their mind to convert begging chances.
All right, we'll be hoping that Ladon Burso can pick a bit of you from what you've just said right now on the show. We've been speaking to a sports editor from Lagos, Nigeria, Enitan Obadina. Thank you so much for joining us on In the Game. Do have a pleasant day.